The year is 2025 and Aaron Rodgers just threw 4 touchdowns on the Steelers. What type of a simulation are we living in? We got a lot to talk about, my friends. My name is Scott.
My name is Deeb.
Let's get into it. Pat McAfee said today we got our guy.
How many sixth graders would it take to beat LeBron James in a game? Ready for the ultimate sleepers?
Shedeur Sanders went number 144 in the draft.
Welcome back to episode 35 of the Single Barrel Sports Podcast. Yo. We got a lot of stuff on the agenda tonight, mainly football focused, but maybe we'll sprinkle in a little bit of surprise here. So you got to stay tuned for that. But first of all, what's going on, Scott?
Hey, man, life is good. We had one hell of a football weekend. It's good to have things back in motion here. Lots to talk about. But yeah, man, just vibing. Excited for tonight. Really excited to talk about things with you.
Hell yeah. Anything going on outside of football? What about personal life? I know we like to kind of catch up on that too a little bit.
Yeah, this was just kind of a work heavy week, honestly. Just really focused on work and wasn't feeling the best over the weekend. Had some crazy kind of allergy sinus stuff going on. So decent excuse to just sit on the couch and watch some college football. And then Sunday, the coast was clear, no plans, and was able to really enjoy the first NFL week. But nothing crazy, nothing super exciting to talk about. But what about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, I was super excited to have both NFL and college football back. Like you said, tried to watch as much as I could. We didn't do anything too crazy this weekend, similar to what you had mentioned. For me, I think some of it was, just tried to do a little bit of like housekeeping. So, mowing the lawn, that sort of stuff, chores. And then I'm actually going to be traveling for work this coming week. So I got a couple trips coming up, one to Indiana. And then next week, I may possibly be going out to Washington, D.C. for the first time in a while. Haven't been there, I think maybe since you and I have been there pre-COVID, maybe, if I'm
Wow.
recalling
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah, that has been a minute. I mean, we were there. Were we there in 2020 or was our last trip in 2019?
I think it was 2019. It was before COVID.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. So
We used to go there like every year. You remember that? And now all of a sudden it's been 5 years have gone by. That's crazy.
yeah, I know. I feel like well, number one, I did live there for a year, but definitely feel like we definitely used to go there a lot more often, just in general for conferences and stuff like that. So, yeah, we'll see. I'm not guaranteed yet, just still trying to kind of work some stuff out, but I think it'd be really fun to do that as well. So I'll report back if that ends up happening.
Hell yeah.
So, last thing I was going to say is we did have our first official football game Friday night. It was an away game. Everyone was super amped up. I think I had mentioned to you that the first game the team forfeited because they didn't have enough players. So kind of a weird start to the season. But that was super fun. My first time on a sideline as a coach for a varsity game. I did do the JV game the night before as well, and that was fun. But I think the varsity game is just a different energy and atmosphere. So we didn't win, but it was a pretty good game. Our defense played pretty dang well. We had 5 turnovers, believe it or not, which is pretty crazy. I think it was like 3 actually, I think it might have been 4 turnovers, 3 picks and a fumble. But they just outlasted us, and we got some stuff to clean up. So looking forward to the game this coming Friday is our first home game. So that'll be exciting.
Hell yeah. Dude, the home games hit different in high school sports, man. I can't wait to hear about how that goes. But I
Yeah.
bet it was cool to be on the sidelines, man, and just feel that energy and see the game up close like that. It's been a while since I've been in that kind of an environment. So
Yeah.
really cool that you get to do that, man. Like I said, I've said this before, but one day in my future, I'm gonna take that up myself, but not
Yeah.
quite in that stage of life right now.
Oh yeah, it's a ton of fun, man. It was, the part that stuck out to me was, how there's like the pregame where all the players are getting ready and everyone's kind of getting in the zone. Well, I was tasked with leading part of the team out, like when they do like the special teams or whatever, like they send out a couple skill players, and so I got to walk like, in the front of them, and they were all, like, behind me, and it was just me leading them to the field, and dude, it just it was a really cool feeling because everyone was just super focused, like, it's kinda like that, what you see on TV or whatever with when the coaches come out with the players. So that was definitely a really fun moment for me too of just, like, going into war with your guys. So
That's
just
awesome.
just a cool feeling I haven't felt in a while. So,
Hell yeah, dude.
yep. Well, we do like to let people know, where to find us. If this is your first time listening, or even if you're returning, thanks for coming back. But very simple, singlebarrelsports.com. As long as you spell it right, you will get it right. And that has all of our different socials. We post clips, long forms on YouTube and Spotify. And yeah, we got a merch store on there too. As you can see, we're wearing some stuff. So go get you some merch if you like it.
Hell yeah, and we have goals. So if you guys like what you see, share it with some friends. We're trying to hit 200 subs on YouTube. We would love to get up to 250 on TikTok and just keep that slow growth going. So again, thank you for everyone who has taken part already, and do check out the merch.
Hell yeah. All right. You ready for the sports term of the week?
I'm looking forward to it, Deeb. What do you got for me?
Well, this week I tried my best to not do football because I know, we've been doing football the past few times. So I actually have one from baseball this week. The
Okay.
term is, and you let me know if you've ever heard of this, golden sombrero.
No, I have not. I mean, I played baseball for several years of my life and have watched plenty of baseball games, but I'm not familiar with golden sombrero. No, so I'm looking forward to hearing about that.
So I was trying to find something that I was not familiar with, as the person looking this up. And I was curious if you would be familiar or if the viewers out there have ever heard this, because this is honestly something I've never heard of, and it's never even come up anywhere, right? Sometimes I think the sports term of the week we've heard of it or have used it, but essentially what it is, a golden sombrero, is when a hitter strikes out 4 times in a single game. And
Yikes.
if you're wondering, like, where the heck did this come from? Because this is a super random term, because that's the first thing I thought, even when I read the definition. Essentially, from what I was reading on, it says that it's basically, you've heard of probably the hat trick in hockey, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so 3 goals in 1 game is what that is. So basically, baseball players and writers and reporters and stuff, they jokingly kind of made this into a joke to expand that concept. Like they said, well, 3 Ks is a hat trick, 4 Ks is a golden sombrero. It's a bigger hat, right? It's a bigger style of hat.
Okay.
And I think they just used obviously the term golden to give it some flair. I don't really think that that has a particular meaning. It's just more for like flair. But apparently it comes from like the 1970s and 80s, because it was like a clubhouse humor type term that people started using to kind of play off of a hat trick.
Okay. Well, hey, the more you know. And honestly, it is kind of a playful way to kind of describe someone having a dreadful game. So sure, I guess that makes sense. And maybe they have some of those sombreros in the dugout. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. So next time you're watching baseball, look out for the golden sombrero.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a golden sombrero, thank God.
I might have worn one once. I don't know. I'd have to look back, but I don't think I didn't play baseball. So no, I wouldn't have had one. All right. You ready to talk some sports?
Yeah, let's dive into some of the action that happened this last week, and there was a lot of it. And then certainly there's plenty of things we want to talk about for this upcoming week in sports here. So you want to talk about maybe what happened in college football this past week, and we can just kind of bounce off of that?
Yeah, for sure. We're not going to go into everything, so I'll just kind of speed through some things and we can, talk back and forth, react. But some of the top highlights from college football, the big game at, game day at Oklahoma was a matchup of Michigan at Oklahoma. Bryce Underwood's first test on the road in a tough environment. They lost 24-13. So that was a tough one. Another interesting one that came up was Florida, who was ranked, lost to USF, South Florida. 1 week after South Florida kind of shocked the world and beat up on Boise State that very first week, and they're actually playing Miami this coming week. So I know we're going to talk more about that in our picks. So if people are interested in that, we'll go into that. And then the other thing is uh, that Florida State actually is kept up the momentum that we saw from that first game where they absolutely just dunked on Alabama, which I think a lot of people were shocked with. Now, they did play East Texas A&M, so keep this with a grain of salt, but they won 77-3. So they annihilated this team. I mean, it was not even close. This is like a basketball score for one team and yeah, like a
They
baseball score for the
yeah,
other.
hockey score for the other, yeah.
Hockey score, yep. So, I think, those are some of the highlights. I know you're probably gonna talk a little bit too about NFL, and, we can talk about some of the occurrences there, but what's your general reaction to college football this past week?
Well, first and foremost, I've made it very clear that I'm a Michigan fan and go blue. I don't care that we lost. I said earlier last week that Oklahoma was a game that scared me. I definitely saw that as a potential where we could lose, and I got to give props where they're due. John Mateer on Oklahoma is that guy. He was a beast this Saturday, and he kind of put his team on the back and got it done. Good game for them. They deserve that win. I still think Michigan makes the playoffs. I'm being hopeful. I think the only game that I think we have a struggle with for the rest of the year is Ohio State. I know you feel differently about that, but I think Michigan will use this as an opportunity to get hungry and to grow from for a lot of their really young players. And we'll just see what the team looks like in a bounce back week. But I still have faith in Michigan to make the playoffs. The big takeaway this week, though, was South Florida going in and proving that they did not have a fluke win against Boise, taking out Florida at Florida's stadium. They were the away team, although,
Yeah,
Florida. And really just making a splash there. I think it was like a last second field goal that ended up sealing the deal for them.
yep.
But this is a team that's taken on two ranked teams in a row and beaten both of them, and now takes on a third ranked team this week. So we'll see. But you got to put some respect on South Florida's name at this point. And I'm actually excited to see how they play against Miami. I think Miami's the best team out of the three, but we'll see. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from a Michigan perspective, I'll say I don't know if John Mateer I don't know if I give him credit, he played well. I don't know if he's that guy just yet, right? Only 2 games in, so, they still have a lot of tough opponents, and I think he has a chance to prove himself. I don't know if it has to do with the Venmo controversy and, there's something tied there. I know we kinda joked about that earlier in the year, in one of our episodes of the whole Venmo, whatever, people looking through his Venmo accounts. But I think it was a big win for him. He definitely did play well. I will give you that. Him rushing the ball was insane. So
Yeah.
I definitely thought that was a huge takeaway. But yeah, I mean,
Eh,
eh, good game. I mean, I don't think it was a horrible game. Obviously, Michigan fans would maybe say otherwise, but I think it was a reasonable game.
and for the most part, it felt within reach for Michigan, and I can hold on to that. But Oklahoma was the better team that day, so it is what it is.
Yeah,
We have a young quarterback, a very young. He turned 18 like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So we'll bounce back. Things will be okay.
yeah,
Our two of our captains on offense were hurt and not in the game. So, those are just situations that make the game a little harder on the road.
yeah. So what happened in the NFL?
Ooh, where do we start with the NFL? Well, first, let's go back to the Thursday night football game.
Yeah.
And something new is happening in football these days. Hey, get this breaking news: spitting has arrived in football. Spitting is here in the NFL and in college football.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just said that. That it's real though. Jalen Carter, arguably the best defensive player on the Eagles defense, before the first snap of the game, walked up to Dak Prescott and spit on him and got himself ejected out of the game. Um, and now the next day, some footage came out that kind of showed Dak like spitting down at the ground, semi in the direction of Jalen Carter, which might have sparked why he approached their huddle and spit on him. But what are we doing, man? Like he was like 5 yards away and then happened to walk all the way up to Dak and get in his face and spit on him. Like you just don't do that when you're the best player on your defense. before the game even starts. Now, to his credit, he had a pretty hefty fine. I think it was like 57K or something like that.
Yeah.
But they actually said that he will not be suspended. They're saying that they will consider him missing the entire first game as a one-game suspension since he was ejected before the first snap even happened. So he will be playing this weekend. Just a little bit of a costly mistake, but the Eagles did still win, so the team survived. Let's fast forward now to Saturday. We have our second occurrence of spitting, and this was actually in college. We talked about that Florida game, but a Florida player actually spit on a South Florida player and got himself tossed out as well. So you keep your eye out for betting lines on spitting this upcoming weekend. Apparently, spitting has arrived and it may be here to stay. I personally hope that it's not, but hey, you might get some long odds and get a big win there.
You know what I have to say to this story?
What?
Gotta give him that hawk too and spit on that thing.
Wow. Of course you would. Of course you would have that on deck. There were a lot of memes about Hawk Tua this
I
week,
was
though.
gonna say the memes were absolutely killing me. I was like, "What?" That was my favorite part of the whole thing was just going on X and scrolling and being like, "Hell yeah, let's go."
Listen, man, the internet's undefeated. When stuff happens, there will be memes immediately, like in like record time every single time. It's like, oh, this
Yeah.
just happened. I pull my phone out and there's already memes. Like, physically, how did that even happen that quickly? But they do, and it's entertaining.
Hell yeah.
But let's jump into some other news here. And I'm going to actually start with what just happened last night. So we're recording on Tuesday. Again, big Michigan guy. My boy JJ McCarthy playing his first NFL game as a really young lad. He's going to Soldier Field in Chicago against a really revitalized Bears team that has a lot of hype and media coverage, and rightfully so. They added a lot of talent to that team. JJ went down pretty bad. He looked pretty rough. There were a lot of critics writing him off. I actually saw one person even say the Vikings should be starting Mike McCarthy instead of JJ McCarthy.
What?
So that's how bad people were beating up on JJ at halftime. JJ came out in the third quarter. He threw a pick six. Things were getting worse. They were down by like 11 points. And then out of nowhere, apparently he just looked at his team in the huddle. And this is a quote I've heard now a couple of times reported. He just looked at his team and was basically like, is there anywhere else you would rather be in this exact moment or something like that? He's like, where else would you rather be right now? And just like hype them all up to like still be excited that they're playing Monday Night Football and that they're still in a football game. And they came out and scored a touchdown on that drive. He threw a touchdown pass. They got the ball back. He threw another touchdown pass. They get the ball back. He gets a rushing touchdown. And all of a sudden, they've scored 21 in a row and they're winning. And they did hold on to actually win. And so, JJ McCarthy gets a lot of shit. In Michigan, he handed the ball off a lot. People are like, oh, he's a handoff merchant. He can only hand off the ball. He's good in rushing teams. Say what you want about the man. In high school, he was 34-2 as a quarterback. In college, he was 27-1. And now he's 1-0 at the pro level. So in his entire life of playing from high school on, 62-3 playing football. You don't do that by only being able to hand off the football. So that's my spiel on him. I think the thing that makes him great is his poise and his attitude. And he showed it last night on the road after a pick six that he could rise up to the occasion and be a leader for that team. And they got the job done. So listen, the Vikings might just be all right. I think they're going to be okay. What are your thoughts on JJ and also on the Vikings?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to add. I think it was impressive that they came back. I'll give you that. I think Caleb Williams also he played okay. Like he definitely had a better start. I obviously was dunking on him in our group chat last night, but also like with the game on the line, you notice like he couldn't get the job done. And I know he almost had that rushing touchdown and blah blah blah. But like if you looked at some of his late throws when the game mattered, you started to see the real Caleb Williams. And that was kind of my point is like the guy definitely has talent. I just think I don't know, man. He just something weird. I don't know how to explain it. Like you just know, like he's not the guy. I don't know how else to explain it other than intuition. So I think
I will say I'm not a big Caleb Williams guy myself, but I will give him respect that in the first half, he looked like he was in rhythm. He was throwing the ball well. He was throwing it quickly. He was not allowing himself to get hit, pressured, or sacked by the defense. They were in a rhythm. They were in a very strong routine. And it seemed like after the Vikings scored that first kind of touchdown in the third quarter, that rhythm was just gone. He was getting rattled, man. He was getting sacked. He was getting hit on every play. His
yep.
passes were not going where they needed to go. He did rally late. I know you said he almost got the rushing touchdown. He did almost score a rushing touchdown, and he followed it up with a passing touchdown. So he did, he scored a touchdown late, but it was the couple of possessions before that that really just looked out of sync all of a sudden. So
Mhm.
I think he'll be okay still. I actually think last night gave me more hope for the future of his career, even though it ended bad. That first half, he looked so well oiled that if the team can get some consistency, they might just be okay. But yeah, the Vikings took over and they didn't let off the gas pedal.
Yeah. I think the more exciting game, though, was the Bills and the Ravens, which we don't have to talk too much about what happened, but I mean, what the hell, man? That was like the craziest back and forth, and then that the Bills came all the way back and won, like, just incredible. It felt like I was watching a playoff game.
It was insane, man. Obviously, it was high scoring, which is fantastic. It looked like the Ravens ran away with it for a while. But yeah, easily like one of the top probably five. I actually was talking to another podcaster about this in TikTok DMs, but probably a top five NFL game that I've ever watched, and just very exciting to watch from a fantasy football perspective and from just a fan of either of these two teams. So I wish we could watch them play every week.
Yeah, excellent first game. I was really impressed by that.
Did you catch that Green Bay game at all against the Lions? I know that the Lions are kind of your team there.
I caught part of it. I mean, I had predicted that Green Bay would win, and I know that's maybe a weak, whatever you wanna call it, a lazy prediction, but going to Lambeau week 1 with a newly shined Micah Parsons on defense, and then the Lions, some question marks on, new coordinators. I just didn't I think it's gonna take them a second to put some stuff together. I don't think they're gonna be bad, but I just think it's gonna take them a second to get, their oil changed.
Yeah. I will say, man, and everyone is buzzing about Green Bay right now. People are talking about they were dominant. They're going to win the Super Bowl this year. The team has no weaknesses. I will say there's some legs to that argument. Their team did look dominant. They did look like they were without weakness. Their offense was they were grinding the ball. They were scoring touchdowns. Their defense looked phenomenal. The only touchdown that the Lions scored the whole game happened at the very end in garbage time. And it was like an insane, like one-handed catch where the guy barely stayed in bounds. It was like, how the
Tesla?
hell did he even catch? Yeah, Tesla out of nowhere making a catch like that. I mean, that guy had a great preseason.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you take that away, this game was only going to be 27-6. They almost broke. The Lions have a huge streak of scoring a touchdown in like so many games in a row, and they almost lost that streak. It was very dangerously close for them. So Green Bay does look dominant. We'll see. Time will tell. This is only week one,
Yeah.
but holy shit, I would not want to play them right now at this part in the year.
Yeah. That's a long season, so we'll see. What about your boy Aaron Rodgers throwing 4 touchdowns or scoring 4 touchdowns in his first game?
I would have never predicted that. I was thinking this was going to be a defensive battle between the Steelers and the Jets, but here we are. They both scored over 30 points apiece, which is like, what? Like, how did that happen? Justin Fields looked really good. Aaron Rodgers looked phenomenal. He had 4 passing. I think it was all 4 were passing touchdowns. Um, Fields, I think, had 3 total touchdowns, maybe 1 passing and 2 rushing, if I recall.
Yeah.
Just crazy. And then Aaron Rodgers came out with the salt at the end. And if you haven't seen this, he basically came out and said something to the effect of, I'm really happy to beat anybody that was associated with that Jets team. So little salty sounds like about his time with the Jets. And we know he had a weird kind of exit where they made him come to the facility just to tell him that he was fired, that they weren't re-signing him and then get out of the room. So I know he had some bad blood about that. So he got his get back to this weekend. But what a close game, man. Just
Yeah.
insanely close.
Yeah. Well, one that wasn't close was the Colts absolutely destroying the Dolphins. So,
What
are
was
the
that?
Colts good or does Miami suck or both?
I think we might see with time that it's a mixture of both. I think that Miami team is imploding on itself right now. But the Colts certainly looked more comfortable with Danny Dimes at quarterback, at least for week one. So we'll see. I think they'll be a force.
Yeah.
And then we started our week. No, we didn't start it with this. On Friday night, we had a game in Brazil, and it was the Chargers at Chiefs. That's a division rivalry there. Chiefs obviously have been winning and dominating that division for several years. And the Chargers came out and they beat them, man. They knocked them out. They punched them in the face and they won the game. And yeah, I think you and I both thought they had a chance, but to actually see the Chiefs lose in week one was kind of a wake up call that things could be changing in that division.
Yeah. It's again still early, but I think the difference maker there was definitely Justin Herbert, and I know we're going to talk about him a little bit later. Former Oregon quarterback, um, game on the line, had a nice run to seal the deal. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Dude, the photograph of that slide too, you wanna talk about headlines, like, that slide was clean, man.
Oh yeah, you know where he learned it from. You know.
Looked like a duck. Hey, let's dive into some very shocking fantasy football statistics here. I'm not gonna labor this very much, but after week 1, according to the Fantasy Pros scoring system with standard leagues, tied for 2nd place in quarterbacks, Daniel Jones and Justin Fields, only behind Josh Allen. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
Who the hell would have predicted that?
Well, I know we're going to talk about Justin Fields a little bit Daniel Jones too, but I'd say receipts. Go back to our video that we did on sit or start, and it was between Dak and Justin Fields, is all I'll say. But I didn't think he would be that high up. To be fair, I just picked him over Dak to start. So
Yeah. Hey, you made your claim there and you were spot on. I think Fields had roughly 4 times as many points as Dak Prescott did, and bold claim for you to make, but you were definitely on there, and if anyone listened, they're thanking you right now for sure.
well, I also said afterwards he was trash. So kind of contradicted myself a little, but it is what it is.
We'll see if he can repeat it. Running back, the second highest scoring running back, Javonte Williams in Dallas, and this is a Dallas team that all offseason I've been saying they don't have a running game. They have no running backs. They're gonna be garbage. They're gonna throw the ball all the time. So yeah, I got humbled a little bit with Javonte coming out and putting up the second most points for a running back in fantasy football this week.
Yep.
I don't know. Did you predict that at all?
I didn't even know who their running back was, I'll be honest. I saw him running the ball a lot, but I was like, I've never even heard of this guy. So I mean, I would never saw that coming.
Yeah, and then at wide receiver, this is a big one. Quentin Johnston, who has been known pretty much only for dropping the football for the last couple of years, had a massive game. He had 2 touchdowns. He was right in there as a big reason why they won the game against the Chiefs, and he was ranked the wide receiver number 2 out of all fantasy wide receivers this week. So this all just kind of goes to show, and this is week 1. We officially don't know anything, Deeb. I mean, nobody does. Nobody on the internet, any of these analysts that make way more money than we could ever think about making, doing a podcast. Nobody had these types of numbers on the radar for any of these guys. And yet here they are, all of them at 2nd place or tied for 2nd place after the first week. And they probably won fantasy owners games this week because of that.
Well, or they were free agents or on the bench. And
Or on
so,
the bench. Yeah.
and so people were like, oh my gosh, how did I didn't see this coming? But no, I mean, he's a good receiver. I think he's due. I'll be curious if he's consistent or not. But I thought he was, generally speaking, a great talent. It's just, maybe,
He's physically gifted, man. He just could not catch the football the last couple of years.
yeah, no, for
So
sure.
yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm excited to follow his trajectory now because what a game he just had.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, we started this fantasy football updates, but I think what we're trying to do now is look at week 2. So we're going to give people, we're gonna do a segment here that's quote unquote kind of new. We did a start or sit last week, but this is kind of a play off of another type of segment. So this one's going to be called for week 2 NFL fantasy football: start, sit, drop, or trade. So basically, what we're going to do, I think I have 4 skill positions here, Scott, so we can kind of go back and forth between them, and each of us can do 2. And we'll just ask each other, who would you start, sit, drop, or trade out of the players that are listed? Randomly selected, but kind of tried to be a little strategic of, players that could be options out there, free agents or on people's rosters, to kind of think through this.
Cool. I'm looking
So,
forward to it.
you want me to have you do the first one with QBs?
Yeah, sure thing.
Okay, so start, sit, drop, or trade. For quarterbacks, we have Baker Mayfield, who's playing the Texans. So I'll give you the matchups just so you're aware. Tua, who is playing the Patriots this week. Caleb Williams, who is playing the Lions. Or Aaron Rodgers, who's playing the Seahawks. So who do you got and why?
Yeah, it's actually kind of tough with 4 options here, but I think I've got this one narrowed down. I'm going to start Baker Mayfield. I don't care about the matchup. Houston has a pretty good defense. but I think he's the best quarterback on this list. And typically, I will ride by when it comes to the quarterback position and my faith in the QB and not about who they're playing against. So we're starting Baker. We are absolutely going to drop Tua. That guy is bonkers out of his mind. He should be out of this league and enjoying retirement. And then it comes down to sit and trade between Caleb Williams and Aaron Rodgers. So I'm a dynasty guy. I like to capitalize when the iron is hot on value. We're going to trade Aaron Rodgers after a 4 touchdown game, get the value out of him, get something nice in return. And we'll sit Caleb Williams on our bench and wait for a few weeks for him to get a little more consistent because he did show signs of good last night. We just need to see it for a full game.
All right. There it is. I like that.
Okay. Start, sit, drop, or trade running back edition. Ashton Genty versus the Chargers. Bill Krosky Merritt versus Green Bay. Chase Brown against the Jags. Chuba Hubbard against the Cardinals. What do you got for me?
Ooh, these are interesting. I definitely like the selection here. So for me in this group, I number one, I'm gonna actually sit Krosky Merritt against the Packers. We just saw how good their defense is, and while Krosky Merritt or Bill played pretty reasonably, I think that Green Bay matchup is the toughest. So for me, I'm gonna sit him on this list. I'll probably this is gonna be really tough. I might drop Chase Brown. I know that that's gonna get a lot of crap on the internet, but he struggled, man. He didn't play very well, and, I mean, he's playing the Jags, so it's a weak matchup, so he could bounce back, but Cincinnati just looks like they need some work, man. I mean, they have all the weapons, but they almost lost to the Browns, so what does that tell you? Um, I actually like the start of Chuba Hubbard versus the Cardinals. I think that is a reasonable matchup. He showed out in the first game. I think that Panthers team sucks and they need him. So it's either him or Ted McMillan. And guess what? I mean, they showed that they're going to give him the ball. I like trading Genty. Again, value, high value. He's got a lot of hype. He's got a lot of potential. I think you can trade him and get something really good for him as a rookie and really kind of an unknown of what is he going to work out at the end of the day or not. So this one was tough. I could definitely see a lot of scenarios with all four of these, and by no means is that a final answer to this. But that's if I had to pick from this, that's what I would say right now.
Listen, I respect the take. I'd be starting Chase Brown all day long. That offense runs through the passing first approach. They had a horrible day passing against the Browns, which also made it harder to run the ball. But you just know that Joe Burrow with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, they're going to bounce back. And when the pass works, the run follows. That's all I'll say. Chase Brown's my guy.
Yeah, I mean, who would you sit in that group
If I had to, I would probably.
or drop? Sorry, who would you drop in this group?
Ooh,
That was the hard one for me of who would you
yeah.
drop?
Honestly, I think it would depend on the league type would make it tough. Obviously, you don't wanna drop a guy like Chuba Hubbard, but if this is a longer term league with, like, keepers and or dynasty, I would probably drop Chuba. If it wasn't, it'd be tough. Maybe Bill? It's hard to say. I mean, it would be very challenging to say.
Yeah. Yep.
There's not really an ideal situation with that group.
That's why I think I put these players here too to make it tough for this one. I wanted it to be to challenge people. So let us know what you think on that one because I think that one's honestly one of the tougher ones on here. All right, wide receivers for you. We have start, sit, drop, trade. Emeka Ibuka playing Houston, Debo Samuel playing Green Bay, Jacoby Meyer playing Chargers, or Garrett Wilson playing the Bills.
Right off the rip, drop Deebo Samuel. We don't need that. Get that out of here. I know he scored a touchdown this past week. I know he did score this week, but I don't think he'll be worth the bottom of my shoe by the end of the season.
Wow.
So we're getting rid of him now. That brings it down to Jacoby Myers, Garrett Wilson, and Egbuka. And I will say, Garrett Wilson is a proven talent in this league with a quarterback who looks pretty comfortable in that offense going up against the Bills, who just gave up 40 points. Start Garrett Wilson, sit Jacoby Myers, and this might sound crazy, but we're going to trade Egbuka coming off of his first rookie game, scoring 2 touchdowns because his value is as high as it could possibly be right now. Get something in return just in case that falls through. However, Dynasty or Keeper League, I'm flipping that and I'm gonna sit Egbuka and trade Myers. So it does kind of matter. But I think all of these guys are studs except Debo. That was a very easy drop for me. I think Debo's prime has passed us up.
He almost had similar stats to Garrett Wilson, though, that first game, and Garrett Wilson is playing the Bills, which is a tougher defense, so just pointing that out.
The Bills just gave up 40 points to the Ravens.
But the Ravens are also stacked as hell.
That's
I mean,
true.
I don't know if the Jets are that stacked. So,
They're not, well, no. And if they can get the ball, if they can run the ball with Brees Hall and,
yeah.
Allen, they got a couple of guys. If they can open up with the run,
Oh,
and if Fields can open up with his legs too, I think then the pass follows. And that team is like the opposite of what I was saying about the Bengals. But
that's fair.
you're right. I mean, it's an impossible situation to choose between some of these guys, which I guess is part of the fun. Is like, well, who the hell do you start?
Yeah.
Think the big thing there, the big takeaway for me is this week I'd be starting Garrett Wilson. Jacoby Myers and Ibuka are right behind him, but I think that's an ideal situation playing against the Bills this week.
Yep. Okay, last one.
Tight ends, start, sit, drop, or trade. We got TJ Hawkinson playing against the Falcons, Kyle Pitts playing against the Vikings, Dallas Goddard playing against the Chiefs, or Sam Laporta against the Bears. What do you got for me?
Oh, man. I think the easiest one for me to drop is Kyle Pitts. I think he is always overhyped, and while maybe he has a different quarterback this year and things could change, I don't think this guy's gonna work out. So that's probably the easiest choice for me to drop. To start, I don't know. I mean, Sam Laporta and TJ Hawkinson played pretty well. Sam Laporta, I don't know if he even played well. I feel like the Lions in general just played bad. So I would probably start Hawkinson because I think he has, JJ there and they've got some momentum. I might sit Sam Laporta, or maybe you know what? I might trade Sam Laporta because I think people are higher up on him because of his rookie season, and I probably sit Dallas Goedert because he's kind of just one of those, I don't know, guys that doesn't go away. And so he's okay to have on the bench, like he can produce here and there, but he's not really like a, crazy tight end that's going to get you a lot of points. I mean, Sam Laporta had 6 receptions, 79 yards, so he didn't have a horrible game. So,
Yeah, I mean, so my take on that is Laporta had 9 targets, which is important. How often are they getting the ball thrown to them?
yeah.
And he caught 6 of them for 79, like you said. I think Hawkinson only had like 15 yards, I want to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
And so, but also that offense really didn't do anything until halfway through the third quarter. So we don't
Yeah.
have a true representation of what it could look like.
Yep.
But for me personally, I probably would go with Hawk. There's again, we're definitely dropping Kyle Pitts. We can agree on that for sure.
Yeah, I also think the Bears defense might be reasonable, and maybe that's also why Hawkinson didn't play as well. So if Laporta is playing the Bears defense, maybe we see a similar,
Yeah.
um,
Yep. And then
outcome.
Goddard, I mean, like you said, Goddard just doesn't go away, and he got a lot of targets too in that
Yeah.
Thursday night game. So
Yep.
I think all good options here. This is just our opinion of who maybe we would start and preference and order here, but curious to hear what other people have to say as well because there's no right answer to this question.
Oh yeah. Well, that was start, sit, drop, or trade. So let us know and comment below what your thoughts are. Who would you choose? What did we get right? What do you think we got wrong? All right. You ready to do some fan favorites?
I'm ready. Let's get into it.
Okay. We got a kind of new segment. We've done a version of this in the past, but it's 2 truths and 1 lie. So I think we have technically done this, but it is a college football week 3. So the upcoming week, 2 truths and 1 lie. So I'm going to ask you to identify the lie here. And these are going to be tougher than last time, just to let you know. I kind of threw you some softballs, I think, in the very first time. So the question is are you ready?
I don't know, man. To be honest, I spent a lot of my week looking at NFL stuff. I watched some of the college games, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. If it's college football related, I may or may not be ready.
Okay. So here we go. Which is the lie? Houston starting quarterback Connor Wegman is a former Colorado player. Colorado, coached by Deion Sanders, enters week 3 as underdogs to Houston, with the spread shifting from 4.5 plus 4.5 to plus 5.5. Or Colorado's third-string QB Ryan Staub outperformed starter Caden Salter in Week 2, passing for 157 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I think I saw something about this Staub guy. So I'm gonna say that's a truth. I think I saw something about Staub being, like, not as experienced, but, like, starting this next game. I could be wrong. I could be totally making that up. And I think that the second one you said about the spread shifting from 4.5 to 5.5 is so specific. I do think that it's possible Colorado's an underdog because they're just not as good. So I'm gonna say that that is the lie. I think the lie was the spread being 5.5.
Final answer?
I guess. I mean, this is just a toss up for me. I don't know anything about anything at all about Connor Wegman. I've never heard of this guy before. So
So, and that's your cue that Houston starting quarterback Connor Wegman is not a former Colorado player. That is made up for the
okay,
segment. So, yep, they are an underdog. The spread is now 5.5. If you look, I think it's on ESPN is what this is going off of.
okay, yep,
And yep, the third string QB did outperform their starter in Week 2. So those are all
okay,
those
yeah.
last ones are true.
Was not super confident about any of that except for that Staub thing sounded kind of familiar.
That was that was a tough one. I told you they're getting more challenging here. All right, so next one. Northwestern lost their starting running back Cam Porter for the season due to injury last week. Oregon will play Northwestern for the second time in history since their last matchup in 1974. Or Northwestern's quarterback Preston Stone threw for over 300 yards in their Week 2 win.
Okay, I think I heard something about Cam Porter. So I'm gonna say that top one is true. I don't know if he's out for the season or what it is, but I think I've heard that he was something about him. The name is all I recognize. I'm gonna say true about the injury here. Oregon playing Northwestern for the second time in history kind of makes sense, I guess, because Oregon is new to the conference. They haven't been in the Big Ten. What has it only been like 1 year?
Yep.
Were they only in it for 1 year so far?
Yeah, 1 year.
And I don't think they played last year. I don't know anything at all about Preston Stone. I've never heard of this guy. Over 300 yards is it's kind of a big deal in college. I'm going to say the last one is a lie. I don't think that their quarterback threw for over 300 yards.
Final answer?
Sure. Not super confident, but it's my best guess.
So that is correct.
Let's
He threw for 254 yards
It's
in
not bad.
Week 2. So pretty close, it's in the ballpark, but he didn't throw for over 300. But yeah, it's only the second time, excuse me, in history that they're playing, which makes sense based on some of your logic. And yep, they unfortunately did lose their starting running back for the season. So he is out for Northwestern. All right, we're 1 for 2. What can we do with the last one here? Can we go 2 for 3, or are we going to be a 33 percenter on this segment?
We're going to find out real quick.
Put your votes in the chat. We'll see what people say. Okay, here we go. This is for our game day game of the week. So this is where game day is going to be Tennessee versus Georgia. So Tennessee will be without their top 2 starting cornerbacks, Jermon McCoy and Ricky Gibson, for this matchup. The last time Tennessee won versus Georgia was in 2019 with a score of 34-31, where ESPN College Game Day is heading to Knoxville for the first time since 2022 for this marquee SEC matchup.
This is tough. I don't know the answer to this, so I'm going to talk you through my thought process here.
Okay.
Having both of your starting cornerbacks out after only 2 weeks is kind of crazy, but it's almost so specific that I would believe it. I don't know. That one sounds sketchy. Let me walk you through the rest of this. I have no idea when the last time that College Game Day was in Knoxville. Couldn't tell you. First time since 2022 is not that big of a deal. It's only 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Tennessee has been kind of hot and cold over the last few years, so it's not that hard to believe. but I'm gonna say, and this is just from memory, I swear that 2019 was like the first year that Georgia was like dominant. I think that's the year they went to the national championship against Alabama. I might be tripping. Whenever is that the year that Hurts and Tua were both in there and Tua took over at half? Um,
I
and
don't
if
know.
Georgia was as dominant as I remember, I don't think that they lost to Tennessee in 2019.
Was it
So that's
pre-COVID or after COVID? I don't know.
I want to say free. I think that's my lie. I think Tennessee did not beat Georgia in 2019.
Final answer?
Sure.
That is the lie. You are correct.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. I only know that because my residency year ended in 2018 and I watched a lot of Georgia football. Some of my co-residents were Georgia fans. And then when I moved to Michigan, I would still kind of keep up with Georgia football just because my buddies were super into them. And I was like, man, this team is dominant this year. Like they're on fire. I wish that we could have seen this like all together. So I don't know. I guess that's my logic. I was not 100%. I was barely confident in that quite in that at all.
Yep. So their two cornerbacks are unfortunately injured for Tennessee, which sucks.
That's
Game
horrible.
Yeah, game day is heading there for the first time since 2022, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the last time it was the Alabama game, um, which I'm almost positive that's the game like Tennessee. I think that's the one where they won, and maybe I get them mixed up as if it's them or another team where they like threw the goalpost in the river or something, or was that like Vanderbilt? I don't remember, but
I remember that happening, but I don't think that was those teams.
okay, it was definitely the year though that they it was I'm almost positive it was versus Alabama. That was the game that year. In 2019, or excuse me, it was in 2016 is the last time Tennessee beat Georgia with that score. So that
Okay.
was the myth, was the year. In terms of what you were saying about 2019, yeah, I mean, Georgia definitely had a crazy year. I'm trying to see if they actually won. They beat Tennessee that year 43-14. I'm trying to see, did they actually win they went to the Sugar Bowl. Hmm. I don't think that's the year they won the national championship though.
Well,
Because they
no, the one I'm talking about would have been whenever they lost to Alabama,
Okay, that may have been, is that 2021? Let me see.
possibly.
I'm actually curious now.
So my
Um,
logic was flawed.
no, I just think I was trying to give you a hint of, was it before COVID or not? Because I think it was, or maybe it was 2018. Yeah, it was 20. No, wait, Alabama won that one. Alabama beat them 26-23 in 2018. I want to say it was maybe 2021 or 2022.
Yeah,
Um,
now I'm really curious. It
it was
was
2022. They beat them 33-18 in the national championship. That's, I think, the one you're thinking of.
gotcha. Okay.
Because they
I
had, no, Alabama had Bryce Young and Georgia had Stetson Bennett. So,
maybe what it was. Maybe it was 2018
yeah.
that I'm thinking of here.
Yep, it
And
is.
but the game happened at the end of the year, and maybe I was thinking it was 2019.
Yeah, because it was Tua was their QB and Jake Fromm was the Georgia QB.
Okay. That makes more sense. I was gonna say I swear it was before COVID. So that yeah, it was the 2018 year, and I just had my mind was mixed up with
Yeah.
the dates.
Yep, for
Okay.
sure. So that is 2 truths and 1 lie. Let us know what you think. Did you like it? How did Scott do? He got 2 out of 3, which is surprising because I feel like those were a lot tougher this time.
Well, sheer luck, especially on the last one, since I had my years wrong. But
You had a spidey sense, though. What do you wanna do
let's do
next?
s- let's do something new, man. My favorite thing about sports is when the first game happens and everyone starts to freak out and act like the whole world is going to end for some players, some teams, and that some people are going to shoot to the moon because of one performance they had.
Yep.
So I want to do a segment called NFL way too early reactions for week 1. And I want to hear 5 takes from you. And I've prepared. I can tell you my 5 and we'll see if we have any that we agree on or we disagree on. So here we go. I'll start.
Yep.
Way too early reactions to the NFL season. First, ladies and gentlemen, get out there and pick up Travis Etienne for the Jaguars. Go win your league with this lad. He is the real deal. He is back, and he is looking good. And now, Tank Bigsby is gone, traded to the Eagles. There's nothing that can stop Etienne now. Pick him up, win your league. Thank me for it in about 15 weeks, and I'll cheers you on the podcast with a glass of bourbon.
I'm actually going to see if he's even available in mine because I feel like, I mean, was he?
He shouldn't be available, but I think the question mark was how much time he would split.
Yeah.
And also last year was a down year for him. He didn't play very well, but my gosh, he looked good this week.
Wait, does he have a brother?
He does have a brother.
Trevor. Oh, he plays for
Yep.
the Panthers.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so they played against each other week 1.
Oh, interesting. Well, yeah. Nope, he's not available. So not for me.
My second way too early reaction after week 1. Danny Dimes has arrived in Indianapolis. He's going to have his best season yet. That team is going to be a force. Daniel Jones, pick him up, sit him on your bench probably, but pick him up, comfortably have him. The team looks different with him at the helm. Let's go.
Wow.
Number 3, way too early. NFL reactions after week 1. Quentin Johnston is legit. He learned how to catch the ball this offseason. Guy had 2 touchdowns against KC. Is a big reason why the Chargers won. He's going to be the new wide receiver 1 in in Los Angeles for the Chargers. And he is going to be their guy. Lad who? QJ is your man now. Pick him up on the waiver wire. Number 4, way too early reactions for week 1. Tyreek Hill is cooked. That man is rotating over a fire right now. Avoid him like the plague. If you have him, trade him. Not only did he not play well, that team looks horrible. He hates that team. He wants to be traded so badly. And he just had more allegations come out about domestic violence. So get him off of your team if there's any value you can get for him. Don't hold on to him. Thank me later. Last, in Seattle, Kenneth Walker is done. That backfield belongs to Sharp now. If you look at the utilization this week, they had more faith in Sharp and he had better results. Kenneth Walker, good running back. His time in Seattle as their guy, it's over with. Charbonnet's backfield now. That's my 5 way too early predictions for the NFL after week 1.
All right. Well, I tried to give you some indication of whether I agree or not. I did agree with the Tyreek Hill. I was just going like this about the domestic violence to clarify. All right. Mine are Bill Krosky Merritt of the Commanders will be a top 8 running back this year.
Ooh. Okay.
The 7th rounder, the most random unknown guy. He's going to be in that top 8. He's going to shock the world.
I hope he does.
Way too early reactions. Jacoby Myers of the Raiders will have a top 10 wide receiver year in Las Vegas, especially with Amari Cooper gone, unless he gets traded.
Hey, let's go, man. Listen, he's been like a top 25 guy the last couple of years. Bowers has a day-to-day knee thing going on, which he's probably going to be fine, but Myers is primed. He's got a new QB at the helm. Let's get it.
All right. Justin Herbert will be a top 3 MVP finalist this year. Top 3. Daniel Jones, or Danny Dimes as you call him, first week was a fluke, Scott, due to playing a horrible Dolphins defense that you just talked about. And so flush him down the toilet. Don't pick him up. He's trash. And lastly, Caleb Williams is still ass. That's it.
I should have known.
You can't convince me otherwise until he wins a Super Bowl or something.
I should have known that Caleb Williams tanking would be on your list. But hey, 5 very early, way too soon reactions to week 1 in the NFL season. Agree with us? Let us know in the comments. Disagree with us? Tell us what we got wrong. We're here for the banter. We're here for the debate. We're here to talk with other sports fans.
Let's go. Time for the halftime pour.
Let's get it.
All right. So, this is the part of our pod where we like to take a step back from the sports for just a second. We'll still talk sports, but we like to focus a little bit on bourbon. As you can see, single barrel sports. The barrel is for the bourbon. So, Scott, we're going to tell people what bourbon we're sipping on tonight, tell them a little bit about it, some of the details. And then we have a rating. We're doing that new this season, giving a rating for people, some information about pricing and that sort of thing. And then we have a question of the night that we can share together. So, what do you got tonight?
Yep, mine's a repeat this week. It is going to be the Bardstown, and this is just their standard. It's the Origin series. It is phenomenal. This one is only about $40 in the shop, which is a big reason why I love it. And I gave this thing an 85 on my rating. I did this a couple weeks ago, so I'll be quick with my rating here. But really good kind of vanilla, cinnamon, kind of almost like orange smell. And then the taste is it's awesome. It's like some pie crust, vanilla, cinnamon type of flavors there. And this one here is a 96 proof. So not too hot on the tongue. You can really enjoy those flavors. But certainly, I wouldn't mind it if it was a little hotter too. So that's it. We got again, Bardstown Origin Series, white label. It is very tasty for a $40 bottle of bourbon. So if you're looking for something on a budget, highly recommend it.
Ballin'. Oh yeah. All right. I pulled out
What you got?
something special. So people might recognize this bottle here. Recognize this, Scott?
Yeah.
Kind of in the shape of a football with a little bit of a football. We got the Blanton's, the original Scott single barrel bourbon whiskey. This is the original. 7 years from Buffalo Trace in Frankfort, Kentucky. It's about, if you can find it, MSRP 60 to $70. Most of the time, you probably can't find it, or it's secondary or some wild crap. So if you can get it somewhere reasonable, you're going to pay about 60 to $70. 93 proof, so lower end of the proof, a lot smoother of a drink. It's a classic, it gives the smell of kind of like that caramel, honey, vanilla sweetness. And then on the taste, you also get kind of that brown sugar, vanilla, and toffee. So I would say not a super unique bourbon in terms of some of the other things that we talk about and have shared and tasted, but a very consistent and smooth bourbon that a lot of people love and try to get after. There's a lot of hype behind this one, and it's very good. If it's something that I'd highly recommend if you can find it. Trying, I gave this an 83. It is on the, I don't want to even say low. It's not a low end score for me. It is though on the lower end of some of the ones that I've featured on here so far. So it is one of those that kind of is a consistent, nice pour. I'm not going to go buck wild over it. If I see it at a bar or something, maybe I'll order it, but I'm not like dying to have this one. It's a good one, to have in your collection. So,
Yeah, and one thing I'll say about the Blantons is that it does have a little bit of a smoother flavor. So if you're not super into the hot, spicy flavors in bourbon, that one will be just a little bit gentler and still is very tasty. But like Deeb said, I think once you get really deep in the bourbon game, you kind of like those big flavor profiles. And
yep.
Blanton's is a little too smooth to get a 90 plus type of a rating, but always an enjoyable drink. So
Yep.
I'm sure you're enjoying it tonight.
Yeah, very smooth, very chill. So that's how I describe it. All right, question of the night. Pick one, Scott, if you could attend in person out of this list. Super Bowl, March Madness final, Stanley Cup final game, or Masters Sunday, and why?
Wow, that is a really hard question. Okay, I would go to this if I got the opportunity to, and I would have the time of my life, but I'm probably gonna mark off the Super Bowl right away here. The big thing with that is depending on your tickets, like, those are in gigantic stadiums, and you might not even be able to see crap from where you're sitting, and you're gonna miss out. Like, for me, I am so into the Super Bowl, so I wanna see all the details. You also miss out on things like the advertisements, you miss the halftime show, Well, I guess you're there for the halftime show. So, in a way, you get that better, but you might miss all of the detail of it because you don't get to see it on the screen. So, as much as I would love to go to a Super Bowl, I would probably rather do some of these other things first. March Madness final, I'm gonna also nix here. I think that would be so much fun. I've been to some March Madness games before. Great environment, but it's just not my sport. I love basketball, but I don't love it as much as other sports. So it's gonna come down to the Stanley Cup Finals game and then Masters Sunday. And for me, Masters Sunday would have never been in consideration until this year and watching and getting into it and really learning about the culture and the environment. S- But I think I've got to stick with what I've always said. My favorite sport to watch live is hockey. Nothing beats the atmosphere in a hockey arena, especially in the playoffs. So if I can go to a Stanley Cup Finals game, especially let's say it's game 7, there's probably nothing else in the world that I would rather do for an evening. So I'm gonna go with that Stanley Cup Finals game for me. How about you?
Yeah, definitely would be tough. I agree. Some of the things like the Super Bowl, it'd be fun to be there. It'd be definitely like a bucket list item. But yeah, like the chances of you getting, really good tickets, like if it was, maybe if I made the question a little different of like 50-yard line, whatever, box tickets, whatever, it might be a little different. But that one's tough, man, because yeah, it's like you get to see the game, but you also miss a ton of the stuff that you get on TV. March Madness would be really cool for the environment. I think it would be really hype to be there during the final, especially just because it's so, I think a lot of athletes and college is very exciting. I have to pick the Masters though. I mean, I think you know this out of this group. Like that would be surreal just to even go to the Masters. If anyone out there is listening, and you're on the committee that gives out the tickets, can you please
Hook it up.
listen to this? Yeah, come on. But yeah, I think that would be it for me. And again, I think the Stanley Cup would be amazing as well. I don't think I have anything against it. I just think Master Sunday would be just like
Yeah.
surreal to be there
Golf is more of your sport too.
for
I
sure.
mean, the crazy thing for me is that the Masters would be my second pick on this list. That shows a lot has changed in the last year because it would have been fourth on this list like 2 years ago. So, God, please, if you're listening and you have some strings to pull, get us to the Masters. We would love it. We'll leave our cell phones in the car and we'll report on it afterwards. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
hell yeah. Or we'll get media passes. I don't know if they do those, but all right. Community call outs. You want to do fans or haters?
I'll do fans. We had a hell of a week this week with comments with a lot of energized people about football, and we're just so thankful for all of that. And we always say this, so please hear it again. Whether you agree with us or you don't agree with us, we just want to hear. We like to engage in the sports banter and the conversation. And so, just to shout out a couple of people here who have left us some good kind of feedback with some of our posts this week. Got to kick it over to our boys over at the Valley Sports Pod. Really been hitting it off with these guys. They got a good podcast themselves here. And we had a comment about start sit and how rookies might feel fit in week 1. And the Valley Sports guys said, love, love, love Omarion Hampton this week. And we had a nice little back and forth on that comment about kind of what we saw happening in the Chargers games and how he might be utilized. So that's the kind of banter we love. We love to engage with. Even if you hate Hampton, let us know because we're not afraid to talk game. And even if you think we're wrong, and even if we are wrong, we'll still enjoy that banter. And then, so that was over on TikTok. On YouTube, we had Tim Roloff, he's a friend of ours and has done some regular commenting on our stuff. So Tim, we appreciate that always. And he just had some answers to a question that came from Crazy Corey, one of our viewers, about if the Steelers would continue their winning season streak with Mike Tomlin this year. So it's really cool when we get comments, questions from listeners, and then other listeners can then kind of respond to those comments and questions as well. So thank you both for those comments. And then Deeb, I'll kick it back to you for the rest.
Yeah, thank you to both of those. I think those were great, and we had a lot more too. I think that was it was like you said, an active week on socials and commenting and whatnot. I get the pleasure of doing the haters of the week, and I think I know why you wanted me to do this one, Scott. So where should we start? I have really just two. First of all, on TikTok, someone named That Was Cranked talk on one of our clips about Tony Pollard versus Ashton Genty. It was like a starter set clip. He said, "How does everyone get podcast equipment?" and followed up with, "I'm saying they are just giving it out to guys who don't even watch football. Yeah, Tony Pollard against the Broncos over Genty is hilarious." Well, that was cranked. If you looked at their stats, Tony Pollard had 18 carries, 60 yards, one reception, and 29 yards on that reception. Genty had 19 carries, 38 yards, one TD, and two receptions for 2 yards. So generally speaking, I think, Scott, you and I maybe disagreed even on this one in the clip. Like, you picked somebody and I picked the other. And so, I mean, if you look at their stats, I mean, Genty had a touchdown, and that's really the only differentiator. But otherwise, they were pretty damn close in terms of
Yeah.
their statistics.
I mean, let's call this what it is. It's not guys that don't even watch football. Let's start there. Genty averaged 2 yards per carry. That is not a good football game. Acting like we're crazy for considering Pollard, who's a veteran in the league, versus a rookie playing in their very first game, I think was a little bit unfair. But what we're looking at here is a total of 89 yards for Pollard and 40 yards for Genty. The only reason Genty had a slight leg up is because he got into the end zone, which you cannot guarantee every week. So
Yeah.
I truly think this was one of those 50-50 calls. And I don't think that anybody's wrong for going in either direction there. So
Yep.
I think that's not a great argument on a clip. However, we appreciate your insight. That was cranked.
Yeah. And I have a nice line that I'll end all this with. But we have one more on TikTok. It was, I think, two people actually, Danny Sullivan and another person named JG. They said that we were crazy. Well, me in particular, on my prediction of Justin Fields over Dak for start or sit for week one.
Hold on, let me interrupt too. One of them said, "This clip is all I need to see to not listen to anything that these guys say."
Yes, thank you for being more specific. So let me read you some stats, gentlemen. Fields had 218 yards passing, one touchdown, 12 carries, 48 yards rushing, and two TDs on the ground. Dak had 188 yards passing, zero touchdowns, one carry, and 3 yards. So Fields absolutely dunked on Dak. And no, I'm not going to get this prediction right every single week, but for you to say the comments that you did, guess what, gentlemen? Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie, is what I'll leave you with for the community call out.
Okay, then. Hey, I do gotta say, Justin Fields had a hell of a game, and it was a good call by you. I was a Dak guy, and Justin Fields literally had like 4 times the points that Dak did, so good call out there.
And I usually would not pick Justin Fields, but I just kind of looked at some stuff and I had a feeling he may have a reasonable game. So that's what sports is, right? We're just making predictions. No one's right 100% of the time, or we would be billionaires.
Yeah, and nobody predicted Javonte Williams to score 2 touchdowns last week, so you just don't always get them right.
For sure.
But however, I do appreciate the engagement. I think letting us know that you disagree and engaging in a conversation is so much fun for us. Maybe just say don't listen to anything they say, especially when we end up being right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, again, we're not always going to be right, but a little harsh on the comments about not listening to anything, because it's like, yeah, I mean, we have some reason behind it. We're not just like always wrong. I mean, we're going to be wrong, but not every single prediction is going to be way off.
Absolutely.
Ready for some picks?
Yeah, let's jump into picks so we can either be right or wrong again here.
Well, so far, Scott, we've been okay. We haven't been the greatest, but we're going to do college football again, and then we're going to do NFL. So college football, right now with the betting odds is how we pick these. So that's a key thing to remember. So we may say that a team's going to win, but it's really because of the spread. Right now, I think I am 9-7 and you are 7-9. So we're both hanging out very close to that teeter totter line of, could be good, could be shit.
Yeah, you're doing better than I am, that's for certain.
Just barely, slightly. And that could definitely change. But here we go. College football game day style picks. Let's do some rapid fire here. So we got 4 games. First game, we have Wisconsin at number 19, Alabama. And Alabama is favored by 20.5. What do you got?
I think Bama's hungry, man. I think they got shown up by Florida State. 20.5 is a gigantic spread. I hate these types of games, but give me Alabama here, and I really hope I don't eat those words.
Okay. I also have Bama. I think that Wisconsin potentially is gonna be dog water this year, and that's the reason why I'm picking them. I don't think that it's because Bama is really that great. I just think Wisconsin is not as, not good, and they're going away to Alabama to play, and it's hard to beat Alabama at home. So I like this. I like the spread here. This one's a little tougher, Scott. 18, University of South Florida. The hot team at number 5, Miami. Miami is a 17.5 favorite.
How does one pick here? I mean, if you asked me this question 2 weeks ago, I would have said 17.5 is a steal against South Florida, but they just decimated Boise State and then beat Florida at Florida. I'm gonna have to go with South Florida because of the spread. I do think Miami will probably win, but I think this game will be much closer than 17.5. So give me South Florida here.
All right. I also pick South Florida, and I think Mario Cristobal gets a nut kick in Miami, and USF potentially wins this game, but definitely does not lose by more than 17.5. So I like the spread here. I like the hot team. Let's go USF. Number 16, Texas A&M. At number 8, Notre Dame. Notre Dame's favored -6.5.
I'm gonna choose Notre Dame solely because they're at home. I think they can cover by a touchdown. So give me Notre Dame at -6.5.
This is where we differ, my friend. I've got to go with my man, my team, Texas A&M, who I have in our college football 26 dynasty league. Marcel Reed, the sophomore phenom quarterback, gives it to Notre Dame, and they issue them another loss and a shocker at Notre Dame this week.
If Notre Dame loses again, they're cooked for the year. They're done.
And they'll probably somehow end up in the national championship. But anyways, the game of the week, Scott. Game days here. Number 6, Georgia. At number 15, Tennessee. 3.5, -3.5 only for Georgia. What you got?
First of all, this is going to be a fun game. Very excited about this. And there's no other pick that I could make other than my prediction for this year's national champions, Georgia Bulldogs. They cover 3.5 easily. I could see them winning this game by 10. Let's go. Let's go, Georgia. Let's go, Bulldogs. It's a wrap. These are wraps. Who do you got?
Tennessee has the home field advantage. Tennessee got rid of the scrub Nico, and we see what's happening with him at UCLA. Tennessee is really not that much of an underdog if you look at the spread. I mean, to be, -3.5 to Georgia is pretty impressive. But Georgia is a powerhouse. Georgia is a tough team. Georgia wins this game definitely by more than 3.5. Give me Georgia.
Hell yeah. I love it. Let's go. Hey, I
Yep.
can pick a game up on you this week if Notre Dame just does what they need to do.
That's true. I gave you an opening. All right, you want to do
Before we hop
NFL?
into NFL, I do want to do NFL, and right before we hop in there, I want to point out, if you guys are not following our Twitter or our X account, please do. If you guys are interested at all in single barrel picks, we also post some parlays each weekend. And just to let you know what we did this past weekend, we posted 2 of them. If you bet $50 on each of them, they would have paid out 337 total. So you would have made $237 profit. Now, even if you only wanted to bet like $5, just divide that by 10, you bet $5 on 2 different bets, you would have came out making $23.70. So it's not always that you're not always right, but if you can hit even half of your parlays, they pay out more than you bet. And we went 2-0 first week, so hopefully we keep that streak going. Keep an eye on our Twitter. We might post these on Instagram occasionally as well, but Twitter's the best place for our parlays.
Hell yeah.
With that being said, let's dive into week 2 NFL big games. And we're going to kick things off with the Commanders at the Packers. Packers are 3.5 point favorites here. Who do you got?
Wait, you didn't want to tell people what our records were?
Let me go back to our records here.
Are you embarrassed?
Deeb is beating me in NFL as well. Although I will say last year I was a phenom in NFL. We're going to turn it around.
That's true.
That was my claim to fame was my NFL's bets. But Deeb is 3-1 after week 1. I am 2-2. So he is beating me in both college football and NFL. Thank you for pointing that out.
Well, I just wanted to give us some credibility, so people know where we're at. Just as
Yeah, collectively we have a winning record that you
Yes.
also do on your own. So there's that. All right,
you
let's talk
don't have to
Commanders,
keep
Packers.
saying it. All
Give me
right.
Commanders Packers pick. Packers minus 3.5 at home.
I so want to pick the Commanders, but after seeing the Packers, I have to take them at home. They're hard to beat at home.
Yeah, the Packers are going to have to show me that they can lose before I bet on them losing. So give me Packers as well, especially at home. That's a Lambeau Field is just a space, man.
Yeah.
It's a space. Cool. A team who kind of struggled last week compared to what I predicted, but still won. The Broncos playing in Indy against the Colts, who put the beat down on the Dolphins. Broncos are favorites here, 2.5 points. Who you got?
Give me the Broncos. They're going to smack the Colts around, and we're going to see Danny Dimes struggle against a real defense.
I'm very confident in the Broncos being a playoff contender this year. Give me the Broncos as well. Give the Colts a real test, and then you'll see that Danny Dimes is good, but not as good as that Broncos defense. Next game here, Steelers playing in Seattle. Steelers are 2.5 point favorites at Seattle. Who you got?
Oh, this one's a little tougher. I obviously think Steelers had a good first game. I don't even know. Did the Seahawks win their first game? I honestly can't remember.
I think they ended up losing to the 49ers.
Yeah, and the 49ers, I mean,
Yeah, they lost 17-13.
I like the Steelers. I don't know. I just think they're reasonable. I don't know. I don't even know why I'm picking them.
They're service.
I just feel like, if Aaron Rodgers keeps playing like that, they're going to be reasonable.
Give me a coin flip on this. I could see it going either way, especially with a smaller spread. But give me the Seahawks because I do think playing in Seattle makes a difference.
Yep.
And Aaron Rodgers' old ass having to travel out west, we'll just see how he does out there. And our game of the week, and this is a big one, man. I can't wait for this one, especially because of the stakes that are at hand. We got the Eagles coming in, defending champs. This is a Super Bowl rematch here in week 2. Eagles playing against Kansas City in Kansas City, and Kansas City's 0-1. And if they lose to our defending Super Bowl champs who beat them badly in the Super Bowl, they're going to start their year 0-2. Eagles are 1.5 point favorites. Who you got?
Oh, man, this is a really tough one. The Eagles looked really good versus, Dallas. So take that with a grain of salt. But Dallas kind of hung in there. They didn't lose by a ton, generally speaking. It was not a blowout by any means. I think Kansas City is tough to beat at home, and the spread is very thin here. So I get Kansas City just because of the home field advantage. It's going to be a close game, though.
Here's what I will say. Dallas looked good running the football against the Eagles, which showed that maybe there's a deficiency there when Jalen Carter's not playing. However, Kansas City cannot run the football. They showed that last week. Pacheco, done. He's toast. Kareem Hunt is actually my choice to be the starter in that lineup at this point. I think Pacheco's time is over with, and Jalen Carter is going to be back. Give me the Eagles on the road, 1.5 point favorites. They're going to win. They're going to win by 3 at least, and we're going to ride off into the sunset knowing that the overhyped and over-officiated Kansas City Chiefs are 0-2 to start the season.
But somehow we'll still end up in the Super Bowl. We don't know how, but it'll happen anyways.
Hey, and all that to say, they also lost Xavier Worthy, which is a big blow to the team. But we'll ignore that and go with everything else that I just said.
Is he out for the season?
I don't know if they've given a timeline to it yet, but
No.
I do not expect him to play this week for sure.
Oh, can I change my pick then? I didn't know that. I really didn't know that. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't pay that much attention to that part. We didn't do our injury report that we usually do for the week.
Yeah, he had a dislocated shoulder. Oof. They're saying that they're taking things day by day. Which is just code for we're not sure when he'll be back.
Damn.
But there's no shot he'll be back this week if he dislocated his shoulder. That would be irresponsible for their team.
They're just gonna pick up, like, Terrell Owens off the waiver wire.
Terrell Owens. Wow, out of all people.
I mean, you never know. He used to play for, Andy Reid when he was the
That's true.
Eagles head coach, so you never know. He still does sit-ups in his driveway.
Well, there you go. He's
Alright,
gonna be good then.
2-minute warning.
Let's get it. Let me just pull up our timer here, our trusty old timer,
Okay.
and then we'll have some fun questions here. Hopefully a good segment. You never know with these questions what you're gonna see, but they're usually pretty good. Do
Ozzy.
you want to I'll ask you the question first.
'Kay.
And would you rather have a running back in fantasy football who gains 100 yards but fumbles twice every single game, or a running back who scores a touchdown every week but only gets 30 yards?
I'm trying to do the calculation. Probably a touchdown? I don't know. They're gonna be close in terms of the points scored, but maybe a touchdown.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Would you rather do synchronized swimming with Shaq or curling with a group of angry hockey moms?
If they weren't angry, it might be fun, but give me the synchronized swimming with Shaq because that sounds hilarious. Would you rather tackle Marshawn Lynch during a beast mode run or eat nothing but hot dogs for a week while calling baseball games with Bob Euchre?
I mean, I don't think I could eat that many hot dogs. I'd probably puke. So I mean, if I could tackle him, I would try to tackle him, but I don't know. I don't think I could tackle him. We'll see. We'll find out.
Your ass would be cooked.
Probably. Would you rather take a charge from Zion Williamson or be in the ring when Brock Lesnar finds out his protein powder has switched with baby formula?
So Brock Lesnar can actually fight too, right? So like
Oh, yeah.
give me the charge by Zion. I'll happily fall in the hardwood and have a backache for a couple of days, but might literally kill me. So
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, Brock is a beast and he does fake wrestling, but he was also a UFC champion for a while. So
Yeah.
pass on that. Would you rather ride a mechanical bull while Jim Nance narrates or skydive into a tennis match at Wimbledon midpoint?
Wow, that's incredible. I'd probably do the skydiving just because it'd be fun to do, and it's like kind of a bucket list thing, so that's why I'd pick it. Not because of the Wimbledon.
Okay.
All right, last one. Would you rather wear a kilt during an NHL brawl or accidentally streak at the Tour de France and end up on a stamp?
I don't want to accidentally or purposely streak at the Tour de France. So let's do the kilt during an NHL brawl. That sounds hilarious and like a great campfire story.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to streak. You got something to hide.
Yeah. Something never mind. We're not gonna go down that road.
Oh man, it's time for the last call.
Yeah, get us out of
Time
here
to
after
get us
that.
out of the bar. Time to kick everybody out. And just like when you're at the bar, it's time to go. So Scott, what do you got?
Listen, guys, my favorite time of the year is right now. And I will say that life has been lifing. Things have been busy, things have been unpredictable. And it has just been so nice to have sports on the weekend to like just chill and watch and talk about and have the group texts and have the podcasts and have the comments on the TikToks and the YouTubes and everything else in between. So thank you all for making life a little bit more manageable during a very busy season. And, thank you to sports for having a pathway to bring us all together. And I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. But if there are any things that we are lacking that you would prefer to hear or see, let us know because we are very adaptable and we're happy to talk about things that matter. So that's it for me.
Nice. I like that. I'm going to do a different type of thank you, um, similar in nature, but I'm going to actually say thank you to you, Scott, because probably for the first time in my life, I've done a podcast for 35 ish episodes now, which, if you know me, I don't usually do things that consistently or at least on a weekly basis other than running to the toilet sometimes or, sleeping. So I want to say thank you for always, helping, being supportive, and also putting in the work behind the scenes with all the things that you do and work on with the podcast. So my cheers and thank you is actually to you because I know this is a lot of extra work outside of our busy lives and careers. So cheers to that.
Yeah. Cheers to you, my friend. And we make a good team. Happy to do it. Happy that you're a part of it. So thank you, man.
Hell yeah. See you guys next week.